Hello everyone! Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make your very own custom baby blanket. This is an advanced crochet pattern that includes blanket stitches, bubble stitches, single crochets, and double crochets. I will walk you through how to do each of these stitches, but it will certainly help if you are already familiar. The blanket can also be modified to be any size you'd like, so just be sure to adjust your charts accordingly. Now let's get started. So I'm going to start off this pattern by chaining 126. If you want your blanket to be longer or shorter, you just need to chain more or less stitches as long as it is in multiples of 3. So I'm going to do mine at 126. Alright, so we have our 126 chains here, so we're going to go ahead and get started with the next part. So this next section, we're basically just going to do 2 rows of blanket stitches. So the way that we're going to do that is you're going to find the 3rd chain from the hook. So there's 1, 2, 3. And you're going to do 2 double crochets in that 3rd chain from the hook. From there, you're going to skip the next 2 chains, and then you're going to insert 1 single crochet and 2 double crochets all in that same chain. So we're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, followed by 2 double crochets. Do the same thing again. We're going to skip 2 chains, and in that 3rd chain we're going to do 1 single crochet followed by 2 double crochets. And that's going to be the same pattern all the way down the rest of your chain. So go ahead and keep repeating that. So you're going to skip 2 chains, do 1 single crochet, 2 double crochets in the 3rd chain, all the way down, and I'll meet you guys right before the end of the chain over here. All right, I'm near the end of my row. I have 3 chains left. So we're going to finish off by skipping 2 chains and then just doing 1 single crochet in that final chain. All right, so that is the end of row 1. It's okay if your work is a little curly. As we work along this project, it is going to straighten itself out. So as long as none of your stitches are twisted, we should be all set, but it's okay if it's a little curly like this. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on row number 2. The way we're going to start off row 2 is by chaining 2. And then we are going to flip our work. And then you're going to go ahead and find that single crochet from the previous row. And we're going to do 2 double crochets within that single crochet. So this is what it should look like. From there, you're going to skip these 2 double crochets from the previous round, and you're going to find the single crochet from the previous round. And in that single crochet, you're going to single crochet 1 and double crochet 2, all within that same stitch. I'll do one more with you guys. I'm going to skip these 2 double crochets, find the single crochet, do 1 single crochet, and then 2 double crochets within that same stitch. So that's going to be the pattern that you follow all along your work. That's what it's looking like so far. So you're just going to keep following that pattern where you skip the 2 double crochets and then find the single crochet from the previous round and do 1 single crochet and 2 double crochets all the way until the end. And after that, we're going to change colors. So I'll do one more with you guys, and then I'll meet you towards the end of our work so we can finish off the row together. So one more with you guys. We're going to skip the 2 double crochets. We're going to find the single crochet and insert 1 single crochet and 2 double crochets. All right, so go ahead and keep repeating that pattern all the way towards the end of your work, and I'll meet you over here so we can switch colors, so we can end the row and switch colors together. Okay, so we are nearing the end of the row, so let me finish it off with you guys. We're just going to keep continuing on with the pattern. We're going to single crochet 1, followed by 2 double crochets. Okay, so now it's time for us to move on to the next row and also change colors. So this is going to be the end of row 2. And the way we're going to finish it off is we're just going to trim off our yarn and leave a good amount. I would say like 8 inches or so. You just don't want to cut it off super close because we still have one more stitch to do before we change colors. So next you're going to grab the next color yarn and have it on the side, kind of on standby. So to finish off this row, we're going to find that turning chain from the previous row and we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, and pull through. So this is the beginning of a single crochet, but since we're going to be changing colors, we're not going to finish off like we normally would. So you should have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to take your new color and you're going to pull that through. Awesome. So now we are at the very end of row 2. So you just want to make sure those 2 tails are pulled taut. And then we are now ready to start the 3rd row. The way we start the 3rd row is by chaining 2. We are going to flip our work. Let me flip it over. We're going to flip our work. And we are going to find that single crochet from the previous round, and we're going to insert 2 double crochets into that single crochet. And something I want to note is that you want to make sure that you're yarning over your 2 tails so that your work is more secure. So rather than letting them hang, I'm actually going to hold it against my work and do my stitches right over them so that way they get woven in as I go. So let me explain that a little bit further. So we're going to continue the pattern the exact same way we did the previous row. So we're going to skip these 2 double crochets, find the single crochet from the previous round, and we're going to insert 1 single crochet and 2 double crochets into that same stitch. So if you can see here, I'm yarning over and making sure those 2 tail pieces are caught in my work before I pull the loop through. So you can see that the 2 tails are caught in the work. So that's the first single crochet. And then I'm going to do 2 more double crochets in that same stitch. So we're going to go ahead and keep going. And I would say keep crocheting over your tails for maybe about 5 inches or so, just to make sure that your tails are very secure. But other than that, you're going to follow the same pattern as the previous row, where you skip over the 2 double crochets and then you find the single crochet and then from the previous round, and then you do 1 single crochet and 2 double crochets into there. So this is what our stitches are looking like. And from here, the pattern basically just repeats itself until you have the desired length of this color that we are now working with. So go ahead and keep working on that until you are happy with the length of your work. Okay, here we are at the end of row 3. As you can see, our colors are changing very nicely. So let's go ahead and finish off the row together. We're just going to do 1 double crochet followed by 2 double crochets. We're going to find that turning chain from the previous row and do 1 single crochet. So keep going with this pattern the way you have been. The pattern is exactly the same. So we're just going to chain 2, and then we're going to insert 2 double crochets, and then we're going to find the single crochet. Oops, hang on. There we go. We're going to do 1 single crochet, 2 double crochets, and we're just going to go ahead and keep going within that pattern until you have your desired length. So once you're happy with the length of this second color, I will meet you and we can keep working on this blanket together. Okay, so I'm at a point now where I'm happy with the length of my second color. The whole piece doesn't fit in frame right now, but it measures about 23.5 inches across. And then I ended up doing 17 rows of this blue color, and it's about, I'd say like 5 inches total. So if you wanted yours to be a little bit longer, you're more than welcome to do that. All you would have to do is just keep adding more rows, but I'm happy with where we're at now. So now we're going to start off with the striped portion of the blanket. So the way we do that is we're just going to do a color change just like we did when we changed to the blue. So go ahead and pick your second color and I will show you how to do the stripe portion. All right, so I just finished up my third row of this dark blue color. So the way we're going to continue on with this blanket is we're going to go ahead and change our color again to white and then back to blue. So the way it works is we're going to do 3 rows of dark blue, 2 rows of white, and then 3 more rows of dark blue. And the pattern that we're going to follow is going to be exactly the same. So go ahead and find your next color. I already have my row ended here with a single crochet with the 2 loops still on the hook. I'm going to pull through with that next color. And then just like we've been doing, we're going to continue on with our pattern with the same blanket stitch. So we're going to start off the row by chaining 2, and then we're going to flip our work, and then we're going to find that first single crochet from the previous round, and we're going to insert 2 double crochets into that first single crochet, and then continue on the pattern like normal. So skip 2 double crochets, find that single crochet from the previous round, insert 1 single crochet and 2 double crochets. So we're just going to keep doing that pattern for 2 more rows, and then we're going to do 3 more rows of the dark blue. So I'll go ahead and meet you guys whenever you're done with your last row of dark blues so that we can start on the name portion. But until then, it's a very repetitive pattern, so if you need to, you can rewind the video to remind yourself how to change colors and do the blanket stitch. But other than that, I will go ahead and meet you when we're ready for the name portion. Okay, so at this point of my blanket, I just finished up the stripe portion. So as a reminder, we did 3 rows of the dark blue, followed by 2 rows of the white, and then 3 more rows of the dark blue. If you wanted your stripes to be thicker, you can just add as many rows as you need to. So at this point, we're gonna get ready to start making the name portion. So I would highly recommend starting with a fresh skein because this portion does use a lot of yarn. So whenever you're ready to switch into the name portion, go ahead and grab that white color again, and then I'll show you how to continue on this pattern. So if you look closely at the edge of this pattern, you'll see that it's kind of making this ridge shape here. And I want to make it so that my single crochets are going along a flat line. So the first row after this dark blue color is going to be a row that's going to offset these little bumps that are happening because of the blanket stitch. So the way that we're going to do that is I'm going to help finish off this row. And the way we basically are going to do it is for every double crochet that you see, you're going to insert a single crochet. And for every single crochet you see, you're going to insert a double crochet. So that way the double crochet is going to help fill in the little dip at the in between the bumps. And then the single crochets are just going to help even everything out. So if that doesn't make sense, don't worry, I will walk you through it right now. So we're going to finish off the row the exact same way we've been doing. So go ahead and snip that blue color. Make sure you leave enough tail. We don't need that color anymore. Then we're going to grab our white color. And then, so you're going to finish off the same way where you leave the 2 loops on the hook from the previous single crochet. And you're going to pull the next color through. Okay. So now we are going to flip our work. So normally at this point in the pattern, we would chain 2 and then insert 2 double crochets into this first single crochet. But since we're trying to straighten out this row, we're going to do it a little differently. We're going to start off by chaining 1 as the turning chain. And in this first single crochet, you're just going to insert 1 double crochet instead of 2. And then for the next double crochet, you're just going to insert 1 single crochet. The next stitch is also a double crochet, so you're going to insert a single crochet. The next stitch is a single crochet, so we're going to insert a double crochet. And so on and so forth. So the pattern basically goes 2 double crochets, 1 single crochet, 2 double crochets, 1 single crochet. So for every double crochet, you're just going to insert a single crochet right on top. And then for every single crochet, you're going to insert a double crochet. Go ahead and keep following that pattern, and I'll meet you about halfway through so you can see how the pattern is starting to straighten out. Okay, I've been working on this row for a little bit, but I stopped because I just wanted to show you what I meant when I said straightening out the row. So you can see from the previous row how it's got these little bumps like this. But now that we've been working on this pattern with the 2 single crochets and the 1 double crochet, it gives us more of a flat line to start our design off of. Otherwise the name would have been worked in these wavy patterns as well, and that's not how we want it to look. So I just wanted to show you guys really quick before we moved on. So I'm going to go ahead and finish off this row, and then I'll meet you at the end so we can move on to the next row. All right, so we are nearing the end of our row. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish off with that double crochet and then a single crochet on top of that and ending on a single crochet. So there we go. So now that our work is flattened out, all we need to do is do a couple of rows of just single crochets back and forth to give us a little bit of a gap before the name starts. This would be a good time to count all of your stitches that you have on this row and make sure that it's still 123, which is what I started with. If you made a little bit more, that's okay. Just make sure that it's the exact number as the number of chains that you started with. That's going to be important for us as we make the name, so make sure that you double check that you have the correct amount of chains at this point. Okay, so before we get to the customization part of the pattern, I'm first going to show you how to do a bubble stitch. And the reason I'm showing you the bubble stitch first is because it's going to help explain how the pattern is laid out and how you need to place the letters for your name in a way that makes sense with the bubble stitch. So as you can see here, I have 3 little bubbles that I'm just using as an example for this part of the tutorial. So they stick out a little bit more on top of the work, but it's great because on the back it's nice and flat and there's no bubbles on this side, so it's perfect for the blanket because we only want the name spelled out on one side. So in order to show you how to do a bubble, let's say for example I want to make another bubble right on top of this current one. I've single crocheted across like normal, and now I'm at a point where I'm ready to make my bubble stitch. The way we're going to do this is by yarning over and inserting your hook and pulling through. And then you're going to yarn over again and pull through only 2 of those loops. It's kind of like a double crochet, but you're just not going to finish off the stitch. So now that you have the 2 loops on your hook, you're going to yarn over and insert your hook again, pull through, yarn over and pull through 2 stitches. So now you should have 3 loops on the hook. We're going to do that a few more times. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and then pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. And we're going to repeat this until we have 6 loops on our hook. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now in order to complete the bubble, you're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through all 6 of those stitches. Oops. Cool. So this is what your work should be looking like so far. But in order to finish off the bubble stitch, we're actually not quite done yet. We always need to do 1 single crochet right after the cluster of bubbles that we just did. And that will essentially close the bubble. And if we don't have that stitch, it's just going to be like a big lump of stitches without it looking like a little circle. So I'll run through that with you guys one more time. So yarn over, insert your hook, pull through 2 stitches, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and do that 2 more times. And now we have 6 stitches on the hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 6 of those stitches. So here's what the bubble is looking like so far. But in order to really make it stick out and pop, we're going to single crochet in the following stitch. So that's how you do a bubble stitch. So let me finish off this row and then I'm going to talk you through the next row because that's also important. Okay, so now we're at the row following the row of bubbles that we just did. And as you can see, the bubbles kind of pop out onto one side of your work. And so if we were to go through this next row and try to do a bubble anywhere on this row, the bubbles are actually going to be on the wrong side. So in order to make sure that your bubbles all stay on the same side, we actually have to do a row of single crochets in between each of your bubble rows. So it's important that you never do 2 rows of bubble stitches, because then you'll have one row facing one way and the other row facing the other way. So it's pretty straightforward. You just single crochet all the way across with nothing out of the ordinary. And I'll show you what it looks like to single crochet on top of the bubble. You can kind of see your stitches like that. So you're just gonna insert a single crochet like normal. And then this is the stitch from the bubble. Single crochet right on top of that. Single crochet on top of the stitch in between. And then just keep finishing off the row that way. So as you can see, even though we have a row of single crochets in between the bubbles, they still end up pretty close together. So it doesn't seem like there's a big gap in between each of the little clusters. So that is how you do a bubble stitch. And now I'm going to take you over to the computer so I can explain how you're going to place your letters so that it can fit onto your blanket with whatever name you choose.